November 14th, 2009. People have been emailing me, asking me what exactly happened in 1999. I will get to that. Those weird TV shows I was watching apparently were meant to attract kids to Mr. Bear's house. What Mr. Bear did shocked the entire town. My dad actually drove me to Caledon, along with the address Mr. Bear left on the letter. The house was actually on the outskirts of the town, in the open farmland. I still remember that house. It looked like an old farmhouse that looked to have been built in the early 1900s. The windows were all boarded up. The house looked to be in a state of disrepair. As we walked up to the house, I remember my dad checking the address over and over again and looking at the house in disbelief. Then the door opened. I expected Mr. Bear to be at the door, but I was surprised to see a police officer emerge from the creaking doorway. The officer began talking to my dad while I quickly asked if this was Mr. Bear's house. The officer's face cringed slightly, and he muttered, "Oh God," or something like that. He started talking quietly to my dad so I couldn't hear. My dad told me to go wait in the car. Then we just went home. My dad was quiet the whole way home. I felt like something strange had happened. My dad never told me what had happened, not for a while. I forgot about it anyway. Channel 21 no longer came on, and when I asked about it, my dad would not acknowledge its existence. I think it was when I was 13 that I learned the truth. I remembered Channel 21 one day and asked my dad about it. I guess he finally decided I should hear the truth. Caledon Local 21 was a local TV channel that ran from October 1997 to August 1999 in the Peel region of Ontario. The entire channel was made from a house in Caledon, the one I visited, and run by a man who was not really known by anyone in the area. The channel was only available to older TVs because the signal was one only picked up by rabbit ears, weaker signals, that is. The man created all the shows on the channel, all of which were kids' shows. He was Mr. Bear. He was the mysterious cameraman. The real reason he created the channel was more disturbing than what was originally thought. As you might have already guessed, he kidnapped kids and held them in his cellar. But while most people thought he was a serial-killing child molester, he really wanted to use the kids for another purpose. The day I arrived, the man had fled his house the night before, the day before the police went in to investigate. I wasn't the only one who was watching. December 2nd, 2009. Sorry for not answering any questions for so long. I haven't accessed my email account for some time. Anyway, let me finally set things straight about what I know. Back in October, I visited the house previously owned by the man who ran Caledon Local 21. 2 women lived there, operating a daycare business. How ironic. Now, to answer the questions you guys emailed me. Who else watched Caledon Local 21? I know other people watched it, for sure, including those kids who wound up at Mr. Bear's house. After some Google searches, I found a few people on the No Seeker forum who were discussing shows from Caledon 21. They talked about the 2 shows that I watched, but also another 2 shows that I had never seen before. A user named I Am Real Life seemed to know all the shows that were broadcast on 21. Here are the 2 I've never seen. The Fallen Angel in Life. I Am Real Life described it as a fairly boring show about a guy rambling on in front of the camera about how we must please Satan and appease him before it's too late. Paint with the Soul. I Am Real Life and another user called Siggy92 were discussing this show. They described it as Blair Witch-like, as it consisted of the cameraman wandering around a forest at night, doing nothing particularly interesting. I'll go looking for the conversations to see if I can get the links. Question: where is Mr. Bear, or the guy who wore the costume? If I did know, I would have said earlier. I have no idea where the guy is, or if he's dead or alive. Hopefully dead. When I see my dad's friend next time, I'll ask him about this. Maybe I can get a more definitive answer. Question: what did Mr. Bear do to the children? Answer: this is by far the most common question I've been asked. I found this out in October as well, via my dad's friend, who is a retired Caledon regional officer. Apparently, the man playing Mr. Bear took the kids out of his house and into the forest nearby. What he did there, police are not entirely sure how it happened, but 16 charred bodies of children between the ages of 4 and 13 were found in a 15 by 15 foot ditch deep within the forest. My dad's friend did not want to go into exact detail, but I'm seeing him next Thursday anyway, so maybe I can extort some information from him then. That's all I have for now. Thanks for keeping an interest in my blog. I will try to gather as much information as I can for my next post. I've actually been getting pretty interested in it myself. It should be my right to know what the hell happened. January 14th, 2010. Sorry I haven't posted anything for a while. I kind of lost interest in this blog since I hit a standstill while looking for more information about the identity of the owner of Caledon Local 21. However, a few weeks ago, I struck gold. I found some answers, surprisingly, from the father of a kid I used to babysit. He lives just across the street, and I used to look after his kids when they were younger. He's also currently unemployed. He used to live near the woods outside of Caledon and witnessed the owner's activities in the woods. His name is Anthony Polo. When he lived in the small bungalow outside the woods, he would often venture into the woods to smoke a joint or two before returning to his work as a wood craftsman. Polo described that sometimes he would hear voices of children coming from deep within the woods, as well as a glowing light off in the distance. Polo told me these events started in late 1997. Note, this is around the time Caledon Local 21 began airing. He apparently became annoyed by this happening every once in a while and actually went to investigate. Polo then described what the whole scene looked like when he got there. There was a group of kids, he said about 13 to 17, the ages 5 to 12, gathered around a large fire pit with a burning fire. With them was a single adult. Polo talked to the man, noting his unusually unkempt appearance, something like a crack addict, as well as his consistent twitching, and asked what he was doing out in the woods with these kids. The man said they were on a camping trip, something they did frequently. Polo, not suspecting anything, Caledon has one of the lowest crime rates in Canada, simply left it at that and told them to be quieter. Polo then paused for a while before telling me that they never became quieter. In fact, sometimes he heard loud chanting from the children in an unknown language. He didn't bother meeting the man again, and he was moving away. I told Polo that the man was probably the owner of Caledon 21, but he doubted it, as he heard that the man was moving to Pickering by several other residents near that area. Here is what I know now. The man would take children into the woods regularly for camping. The fire pit Polo described may be the hole the bodies of the children were found in. The children Polo saw are probably the ones found dead. The man moved to a city called Pickering, a smaller city near the edge of Toronto. I will discuss this with my dad's friend, the ex-cop, and see if this matches anything the police knew about the man. I also want to know if he has any other knowledge about what was aired on Caledon Local 21. February 10th, 2010. Good news, guys. I talked to my dad's friend and he discussed a lot of information with me. First, I asked if the police had any information on the man who ran Caledon Local 21. He replied that they have only had the same leads for years and never found a suspect. However, the Peel Regional Police do have some of the tapes found in the house of Caledon Local 21, the one it was broadcasting from. He took me over so I could watch a few. I guess I haven't said much about him yet. My dad's friend's name is Mitchell Wilson. Pretty nice guy. He seems to understand my thirst for knowledge on what happened during the late 90s in that house. He feels it was wrong for my dad to keep it from me for so long. He took me to the Davis Road police station. If you don't know, it's the largest station in Caledon and one of the largest within the Peel region itself. Each of the main stations around Peel have some of the tapes. I was able to watch all of the footage that the Davis Road station has. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to take any tapes home for obvious reasons. Paint with the Soul, Episode 10, Garbage Thrown Away. Paint with the Soul was one of the shows that I Am Real Life and Siggy92 discussed on Neoseeker. I told the police about this, and they informed me that 12 episodes of the show were made and broadcast between December 5th, 1997 and January 8th, 1998. Exactly as I Am Real Life and Siggy92 described, the episode opened with the cameraman wandering around in the woods. It appeared to be during the evening, as it seemed that the sun was setting. The cameraman walked along a path until he got to an area where there was a lot of garbage lying in the leaves. The camera looked around at the various wrappers, bottles, bags, and boxes, making sure each item got a few seconds of screen time. The camera then focused on a single area before the man spoke. I recall he spoke in a very timid, quiet voice, and I swear I've heard it somewhere else before, like on another Caledon Local 21 show. I could barely hear what he was saying, but he mainly talked about how humans are garbage, or something that had to do with saving ourselves by cleaning up the garbage. He means us, of course. It actually sounded really stupid, but still, a feeling of dread came over me. I mean, that forest was positively where those bodies were found, right? Mr. Bear's Cellar, Episode 25. When the police administrator brought the tape in, I actually said, "Oh, shit," and chuckled a bit out loud. Of course, I got stares from the staff, but Wilson explained to them about my little experience with Mr. Bear and how I still kept the letter that he sent me. Like the previous episode, this one included the guy wearing the bear mascot costume. The episode began with Mr. Bear waddling over to his cellar door with a bottle of orange juice in his paw. On the ground were 6 shot glasses, as well as a small bottle that contained an unknown liquid. Mr. Bear poured an equal amount of orange juice into each glass before opening the small bottle and depositing 1 drop into each glass. Mr. Bear then went off camera. There were some minor sounds such as shuffling, and then Mr. Bear emerged from behind the camera location. Following him were 16 children. Some looked as young as 4, others looked like they were practically teenagers. As the kids entered, the administrator commented that this was the only episode that showed all 16 victims. The kids all looked rather content, except for this one who had visible bruises on his face, and unlike the other kids, he had a more fearful expression. He also looked about 11 or 12, which caused me to recognize him. He was the kid who had asked about his sister and subsequently met an unknown fate at the end of episode 23. That one episode I watched during July 1999. When I told the administrator this, he confirmed it was the same kid. He also featured in episode 24, an episode that only aired once at 3 o'clock on July 1999. The police have still not found the tape. Mr. Bear then broke into a song, singing about citrus fruits and how good vitamin C was for you. I could barely hear the lyrics as they were muffled by the bear mask. The kids all drank their juice, the one from episode 25 doing so rather reluctantly, and the episode ended. After viewing the tape in possession of Davis Roads Police Station, I'm satisfied, but only temporarily. I still want to know the full story. The police just keep giving me the same crap about the creator of Caledon 28 being a fetishist pedophile, as well as an apparent cultist. I'll sign off for now, get into university first, and get information later. Hopefully, I'll get back to this blog as soon as possible. You're still here. Thanks for stopping by. Dr. Plague here. Always a pleasure to see all my new and old viewers coming by for another one of my spooky tales. If you'd like to support the show, you can always take part in one of our channel offers through Fume or Aura, or you can just click on another video when they come up. I'd really appreciate it. For our newer viewers, we also have lots of playlists and other things if you'd like to get caught up. I know some of my series have been going on for quite a while. If you'd like to get my latest book, there's a link down below that'll take you to my Amazon page. Towesey Homestead just came out, so if that's something you'd like to get your hands on, go ahead and have a look down there. If you'd like a signed copy, you can go ahead and email me from my email address on the site, and I'll get with you about shipping information and ship you a signed copy. If you'd like to support the channel in a more monetary fashion, we also have membership through YouTube, and we've got a Patreon that you can get the information for in the description. We have lots of tiers and everything to suit your needs. Patrons that support on the $10 tier, that's our Ghostly Reader tier, get a book anytime I write one, signed and on their doorstep. As you may have noticed, there's a list of patrons and members on the screen, and I'd like to personally thank every one of them for taking a hand in the future of this channel. Well, that's enough for tonight. Dr. Plague, signing off. Have a wonderful evening.